I've noticed we're losing subscribers. Not the YouTube kind, but the kind that swore they'd be in my life forever. Funny how that works. One day you're surrounded by people who claim to love you, and the next, you're watching them walk away like you were just another phase in their lives. By the way, if you're here, do me a favor, subscribe. It's free, and unlike some people in my life, you won't regret sticking around. She wanted a break, then she came back screaming. I never imagined my 4-year relationship would come crashing down like this. I was ready to propose to Julie. We had built a life together, 3 years of sharing an apartment, our love for running, our weekend hikes, our inside jokes. I thought we were solid. But then, in September, something changed. Julie became distant, stressed. She spent more time alone. I tried not to overthink it. I trusted her. Then Mindy, her friend and coworker, messaged me. She wanted to meet in secret. My stomach dropped. What could she possibly have to say? When we met at a small cafe, her expression was serious. Are things okay between you and Julie? She asked. I told her I had noticed some changes but didn't know why. That's when she hit me with it. Julie told me she's planning to leave you. My heart stopped. She assured me there was no one else. Julie just wasn't sure she wanted to marry me. She didn't want to be with me just because she was used to me. Mindy said she didn't want me to be blindsided, and honestly, I was grateful. But also devastated. I tried harder after that. More dates, more surprises, more effort. Maybe I could fix it. Maybe I could remind Julie why we were so good together. Mindy was there too, always checking in, giving me updates on what Julie was saying at work. Then, right before Thanksgiving, Julie dropped the bomb. I love you, but I need a break. Just a month. I need to live alone and be sure I want to marry you. A month? After 4 years together? If she wasn't sure by now, would she ever be? We fought. Art. And just like that, we were over. She found a new place. I kept our old apartment. December arrived and I was alone. I couldn't sit in my sadness forever, so I threw a New Year's party. I needed my friends around me. I needed to feel normal again. And yeah, I invited Mindy. The night was a blur of laughter, drinks, and loud music. For the first time in weeks, I felt okay. Mindy stayed back to help me clean up. One moment we were laughing over the mess, and the next we were kissing. And then, well, one thing led to another. I felt guilty, but also relieved. Mindy was sweet, caring. She made me feel wanted. We started hanging out more. Almost every day. I wasn't over Julie, but I wasn't miserable anymore either. Then last Sunday morning, a loud banging at my door jolted us awake. I opened it to see Julie. Her face was twisted with fury, and she was yelling, accusing me. You cheated on me. I stood there speechless. I stood there stunned as Julie screamed at me. Mindy, still in my apartment, looked just as shocked. Julie wasn't just mad, she was furious. You cheated on me, she kept yelling. I didn't cheat. She was the one who left. She was the one who wanted space. And now she was standing at my door, acting like I had betrayed her? Then she turned on Mindy. You manipulative, understander. You set this up. Julie's words hit like a slap. She claimed Mindy had been in her ear for months, planting doubts in her head, making her question our relationship. According to Julie, it was Mindy who had suggested she take a break, convincing her that she needed time alone to be sure about marriage. And when I didn't agree, Mindy supposedly told Julie that I was controlling, that I couldn't even handle 1 month apart. I turned to Mindy. Is this true? Mindy's face was calm. I never told her to break up with you. I was just there for her, just like I was there for you. But now doubt was creeping in. Mindy had never really been close to me before the breakup. Then suddenly she was everywhere, comforting me, giving me updates on what Julie was saying, making sure I knew she was there for me. Was it all intentional? Julie wasn't backing down. She was playing both of us, she insisted. She told you just enough to make you panic. Then she told me just enough to make me leave. I felt like my head was spinning. Had I been manipulated? Had Julie? Or was this just a mess of miscommunication and heartbreak? Julie wiped her eyes and took a deep breath. I realized in these past few weeks that we belonged together. I was coming back to tell you that. But now I see you moved on in a week. Her voice cracked, and for the first time I saw pain instead of just anger. I wanted to believe her. But she was the one who walked away. And Mindy, whether she had good intentions or not, was the one who had been there for me when I felt like I had nothing left. Now I was stuck between them, not knowing who to trust. Had I thrown away a 4-year relationship for nothing? Or had I just escaped something that was never meant to last? 2 weeks had passed since that explosive morning when Julie stormed into my apartment, accusing me of cheating. 2 weeks of silence, guilt, and a constant, gnawing question. Had I been played? The internet certainly thought so. After posting my story online, 3,000 strangers called me an idiot. Maybe I was. Maybe I wasn't. But they weren't the ones who had lived through it. They weren't the ones who had felt discarded after 4 years, who had spent months watching their relationship crumble in slow motion. I needed answers. I messaged Julie every single day. No response. I wasn't even sure if she had blocked me. Meanwhile, Mindy wouldn't stop reaching out, asking to meet, to talk. I finally gave in. I messaged Mindy, but I refused to see her. I wanted everything in writing. No more manipulation. No more twisting words. She admitted she knew about Julie's doubts long before the breakup. Julie had confided in her about her fears of marriage, fears rooted in watching her parents' rocky relationship. Mindy claimed she never told Julie to break up with me, only that she told me because she felt bad. But then she said something that stuck with me. The only reason Julie came back is because she's jealous that you're moving on. That hit differently. I didn't reply. I just said I needed time. And then, finally, Julie responded. I want to meet. She showed up at our old apartment on Saturday afternoon. She looked broken. Not angry this time. Just tired. Defeated. I tried to apologize, but she stopped me. Let me finish, she whispered. She pulled out a small notebook, flipping through pages she had clearly written and rewritten. And then, voice trembling, she began to explain. She had loved me, she still did. But when marriage became real, she panicked. She thought her fears would pass, so she didn't tell me. Instead, they festered. And Mindy? She was the only one she talked to. Julie's fears weren't about me, they were about what marriage could become. About how she had watched her mother trapped in a toxic relationship, dependent, unhappy. And then she started seeing pieces of that in us. I sat there, listening as she unraveled the real reason she left me. And for the first time, I wasn't sure if I had lost her, or if I had ever really had her at all, where things went wrong. Julie admitted that she had felt suffocated by our dynamic, not because I was controlling, but because she had leaned on me too much without realizing it. She had always wanted to be independent, but in our relationship, she found herself relying on me for things she should have handled herself. I, on the other hand, had been too eager to take care of everything, thinking I was being supportive. But in doing so, I had unintentionally made her feel like she wasn't capable of handling life on her own. Therapy helped us navigate these realizations. We worked on setting boundaries. Julie took full control of her finances again, even though it was difficult for her at first. I made a conscious effort to let her handle things on her own without stepping in. The biggest hurdle was rebuilding trust. Even though I had been technically single when I was with Mindy, the betrayal she felt ran deep. She struggled to look at me the same way. There were nights when I could tell she wanted to reach for me but held back. And then one night she finally broke down. I can't stop seeing it, she whispered. You and her. I had no words. I could only hold her as she cried, feeling the weight of what I had done. Over time, things got better. Therapy helped. Love helped. We decided to move into a new place together, a fresh start. Julie eventually quit her job and cut off all contact with Mindy. A few months later, she was the one who brought up marriage again. I think I'm ready, she said. But I want to do it right this time. We got engaged on our own terms with no outside influences. No pressure, no fears, just the two of us choosing each other. And this time it felt right. In my wife's bag, even though we use other forms of birth control? It sounds like everything worked out in the end, and you and Julie have built a stronger foundation for your marriage. The ups and downs were tough, but you both put in the effort to understand each other, work through past issues, and come out of it even more committed. Mindy's actions were awful, but it's great that Julie was able to transfer and put that situation behind her. The fact that you both stayed in therapy and had open conversations about expectations shows real growth. As for the codependency, that's something that will take time. Julie has a therapist and you're both aware of the issue, which is a great start. As long as she's actively working on building her independence and you're mindful of giving her space to grow, things should improve over time. And congratulations on the wedding. It's amazing that after all of that, you two made it to the altar and had a beautiful celebration. Hopefully, in 25 years, this whole situation will just be a wild story to laugh about. How are you feeling now that everything has settled down? Lesson to learn from this story. Communication is the foundation of any strong relationship. Julie and Opie's journey shows how unspoken doubts, outside influences, and lack of honest conversations can nearly tear apart even the strongest bonds. However, their willingness to be vulnerable, seek professional help, and truly listen to each other is what saved their relationship. If there's one thing to take away from this, it's that open and honest communication can prevent unnecessary heartbreak. Never let doubts fester. Talk them out before they turn into regrets. Does this story resonate with you? Have you ever experienced a situation where lack of communication almost cost you something valuable? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you found this story insightful. Let's keep the conversation going.